This video is going to show you the differences between model space and paper space and show you a little bit about how to set up your printing in AutoCAD. Now open a new drawing and let's go ahead and type units and change it from decimal to architectural. I know we do this a lot in this video series. Are you tired of me always asking you to do this? Ha! I hope so, because that means you're starting to set up good habits when working in AutoCAD. Alright, so let's click OK. Now obviously we have the black background with the grid, and this is model space. And as the name suggests, this is where we build models and actually do the process of drawing with lines and other shapes. But we don't stop with just drawing buildings and other drawings in AutoCAD, right? We typically print our drawings. Now for interior designers and architects, we use AutoCAD to produce construction documents. They're otherwise known as CD sets. You're going to hear that term a lot. CD sets are actually legal documents, kind of like a contract. They're really large drawings that we print out so that contractors know exactly how to build what we want them to build. They can be all kinds of different sizes, but the beauty of AutoCAD is that we can first draw a building as it would be built in real-world dimensions, but then we can easily scale those drawings down to fit on a piece of paper, all because of paper space. So model space, paper space. What is this paper space? Well, let me show you. Here in model space, you're going to see at the bottom left-hand portion of the screen a couple of tabs. So on my screen, model is actually highlighted to indicate that we are currently working in model space. Layout 1 and layout 2 are what we call paper space. So just so that you know, CAD people do not print from model space, they only print from paper space. So let me show you how all of this works. Step 1, we're going to click on the Layout 1 tab. Wow, a new screen. We see a gray background, we have a white canvas. Now this white canvas represents the piece of paper that prints out of a printer. So we can actually control the size of the white canvas so that it represents the size of the sheet that we want to print. So if we want to print on a 30-inch by 42-inch sheet, we can actually change this white canvas to reflect that. Right now, if we use the measure tool, we can find out that this is actually 11 inches by about 8.5 inches, which is the size of a typical piece of paper, right? A lot of people automatically think, well, hey, I can just go ahead and start setting this piece of paper up to be printed. But that is not the case. Just because AutoCAD is defaulting to this size does not mean that your printer is going to print this. Do you see this dashed line around the perimeter of the canvas? This is the printing boundary. Any line work inside the printing boundary will be printed on the piece of paper. Any line work outside of the printing boundary will not be printed on the piece of paper. Pretty simple, right? Now every printer has its own printing boundary that's unique to it. It's kind of like people. We all come in different sizes and shapes, right? We all have different physical traits, personality traits, characteristics, beliefs, right? Well, printers do too. And just because AutoCAD defaults to this paper size and this printing boundary does not mean that the printer you end up printing to is going to have those same characteristics. So before we do anything in paper space, the very first thing you should always do is to tell AutoCAD what printer we are printing to and what size of piece of paper that we need to print to. We want our canvas to visually reflect the printing characteristics of the printer that we're going to print to, and that includes the printing boundary and the size of the paper that we want to print on. So to assign a printer and choose the correct paper size, we need to go to the big red A. Now there's an arrow down here at print, and if you hover over that little arrow, a list of additional options shows, and we want the option called Page Setup. When you click on Page Setup, a new window pops open called the Page Setup Manager. Here you're going to see Layout 1, which is the paper space we are currently working in, already listed and highlighted. So to set the printer and page size, let's click on the Modify button. Now another window has popped open called the Page Setup Layout 1 window. And the first thing we want to do is change the printer that we are printing to. That is what controls everything that we're going to set up afterwards. So click on the scroll bar where it says Printer and Plotter, and you're going to see a large list, probably very similar to mine, as to what kind of printers there are available. Now, AutoCAD comes with its own printers for all the various professions who use it. Now for our purposes, we are only interested in two types: the local printer or printers that you use at home or at school, and the PDF maker. PDF, that's a word that you're going to hear a lot. PDF is short for Portable Document Format. In easy to understand terms, it's like taking a digital photograph of the document as it is. If you open a PDF file, you're not able to change any of the information, just as you can't really change what a photograph shows you either, right? So most companies in the world use PDF files to send documents to each other. So think of the AutoCAD PDF maker as a digital printer. We can print digital PDF files and save those on our computer, and then we can turn them in digitally to your instructor online, or send it via email to another company or another person. That's the great thing about PDF, and that's the main printer that we're going to use in this video series. So go ahead and choose the Drawing to PDF.PC3. You see at the very bottom here. You might need to scroll down using this scroll bar to find it. Click on it, and you'll see that paper size automatically readjusted itself. The reason why is because printers also have different paper sizes associated with it. So if we click on the scroll bar where it says paper size, you're going to see, wow, Drawing to PDF printer has a lot of different types of paper to print to. Holy smokes, Batman. How the heck do you know which one to choose? You're going to see ANSI, you're going to see ARC, you're going to see ISO. Those are all names of different standards used in different professions. And for the purpose of this video, we're going to choose what's called ANSI Full Bleed. So you might have to scroll around a little bit, but you should be able to find the ANSI Full Bleed, and we're going to choose the A 11 by 8.5 inches. Remember, it's width by height. So I'm going to click on that, and we have now chosen an 11 by 8.5 inch piece of paper with full bleed. Now what full bleed means is that the printing boundary is going to be closer to the edges of the white canvas than what they currently are. If we don't choose full bleed, the printing boundaries are located further away from the perimeter of the canvas. So my philosophy is that we want all the room we can get on a piece of paper so that we can fit our drawings on it. So important note is that the printing boundary is actually determined by the paper size that you choose. Aha! Okay, next let's make sure that the plot area is plotting to layout, and that your plot scale is plotting at a scale of 1 to 1, with 1 inches equaling 1 units. Now if anything over here is different, you need to change it. The scale needs to show as it does on my screen currently, scale 1 to 1, and 1 inches equals 1 units. Determine if you want to draw in portrait or landscape. Typically in interior design and architectural drawings we use landscape, so we're good there. I do want to point out up here at the very top right hand corner, we're not going to worry about this right now, but eventually this will be another area that you will need to change, is the plot style table pin. We're going to talk about plot style in a future video, but I want you to be aware that eventually you will need to set this area up as well. Until then, we're going to leave everything else as it defaults. I do want to point out too that on this plot scale, this is not where we scale drawings. We actually use viewports to scale what we draw in model space. So one of the biggest newbie, I don't know if I want to call it mistakes, but it can really kind of trip you up if you have this set at a different scale and then you go and use a viewport to scale something differently. So just always make sure that you understand this is not where we scale drawings. We're just setting up our piece of paper, and we always want our piece of paper scaled at 1:1 with 1 inches equals 1 unit. So if you're trying to scale a drawing, do not scale it here. This should always be the same. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. I'm also going to click on Close. And you will now see that the printing boundary has moved. It was about in this area, and it is now right along the perimeter of the canvas. The canvas is also set to print to a PDF. Now, if you ever need to print out a piece of paper to give to someone, choose the printer that you print to as well as the appropriate page size. In the next video, we're going to talk about the viewport, and I'm going to show you how to scale the drawings that you drew in model space to fit on this white canvas in paper space so that you can print it. This video was all about the differences between model space and paper space and how to set up your paper space for your printing needs.